I recognize Dr. B.G. Stevens for the purpose of presenting a candidate.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you Mr. Harris Rowe, a candidate for the honorary degree Doctor of Public Service.
Harris Rowe, trustee of MacMurray College for more than 2 decades and chairman of the College Board of Trustees for 12 years, we salute you for your lifetime achievements in business, public, and educational leadership. A lifelong resident of Jacksonville, you have had an exceptional impact not only within your community, but upon government, civic, and educational institutions of the state of Illinois as a whole. A graduate of Illinois College and Northwestern University School of Law, you saw your duty in the South Pacific in World War II. You joined Central National Life, your father's small insurance company, as secretary. You went on to lead as president, then chairman and chief executive officer as the firm grew and prospered, and then became John Deere Life Insurance Company. Taking early retirement in 1986, you became a co-founder in the securities brokerage firm of Rowe, Henry & Deal, from which you retired in 1991. You've devoted yourself to your community as a leader of the First Presbyterian Church, Jacksonville area, and Illinois State Chambers of Commerce, Jacksonville Area Industrial Association, Kiwanis Club, and other business and civic enterprises. You are active in political affairs as chairman of the Morgan County Republican Committee for 27 years, as precinct committeeman for 35 years, as a Jacksonville alderman for 8 years, and as state representative for 3 terms, and as an elected delegate to 2 Republican national conventions. Throughout your life, you have been an educational leader. You served as an alumni trustee of Illinois College, as a member of the Illinois Board of Higher Education, and since 1970 have been a trustee of Southern Illinois University, including 10 years as chairman. Most significantly to us, you followed your grandmother and your father as a trustee of MacMurray College. You have been a trustee since 1973 and provided dedicated leadership as chairman of the Board of Trustees from 1980 to 1992. Harris Rowe, the faculty, students, and trustees of MacMurray College gratefully confer upon you the honorary degree of Doctor of Public Service honoris causa. As symbols thereof, I present to you this diploma and invest you with this hood. Each commencement, it's my pleasure to present an award to an outstanding teacher, the Dewey Wilkins Award. The Dewey Wilkins Award for Excellence in Teaching has been fully endowed at MacMurray College through the generosity of Mrs. Charles M. Putnam, Jr., a MacMurray College alumna and the widow of Mr. Wilkins. Mr. Wilkins was a successful businessman from Peoria who gave much of himself in the service of others. He was a faithful member of the Board of Trustees of MacMurray College, also serving as an honorary trustee until his death in 1976. The award is an annual award. It consists of a medallion and a monetary award of $1,000. The award winner is chosen by a committee composed of faculty members from each academic division, 2 recent alumni, and representative students, acting as a body after considering nominations from the campus community. It's my pleasure to announce that this year the Dewey E. Wilkins Award for Excellence in Teaching at MacMurray College goes to Dr. R.J. Stewart. It's also my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, the last good president of MacMurray College, and my predecessor, Dr. B.G. Stevens. Dr. Stevens was president of MacMurray from 1980 to 1986, perhaps one of the more creative periods in the college's history. A lot of that was due to B.G.'s own creativity as a college president. He came here from South Carolina, where he had spent most of his life, having been born in Spartanburg and having attended Wofford College there in Spartanburg when it still was a college for men. He left it briefly for a tour of duty in the Yellow Berets. Yeah, that's what they call it. It was the intelligence arm. And you were an example of lack of, yeah. But he left it briefly for a tour with the Yellow Berets and then returned to earn a PhD in chemistry and to teach at Wofford. He wasn't very good at it. They caught him at it, and he was made dean. Later on, he was foolish enough to leave the snug harbor of Spartanburg, where both he and his wife, Sandra Stevens, had grown up, and to come to Illinois, to a little college called MacMurray College. And he spent 6 years here, and I was his academic dean. My wife says I'm not allowed to tell very many stories about that, but I can tell you that a number of people one time heard B.G. remark that we ought to write a book about our experiences, and one of the faculty members remarked somewhat cynically, yes, you could call it the Two Stooges try to run a college. I do have to tell one story, and this epitomizes the academic leadership that B.G. and I gave to MacMurray College. I remember B.G. racing down to my office one day saying, Ed, we must leave right now or we're going to miss that meeting. It's going to be tight as it is. And we raced out and hopped in his car, and we went roaring out. And we were about 5 miles down the road, and B.G.'s got his foot in it. And he looks over at me and he says, Ed, where are we going? I said, B.G., I don't know. And he said, Ed, this is no time for levity. Where are we going? I said, B.G., I am not levitizing. I have no idea where we're going. Quick U-turn, back to the campus, up to the office. Jeannie, where are we going? That was and the speech that B.G. was to give was, this is an administration that knows where it's going. At this point, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the 12th president of MacMurray College and a good friend, Dr. B.G. Stevens.
So I finally found out what President Mitchell means when he says the faculty is fully behind him and his work. I know. It is a joy being here, as always, coming back to MacMurray. And before I get much further, I'd like also to congratulate Dr. Stewart, whom I do not know, but congratulations on that award. It's a very fine award. And congratulations also to our honorary degree recipients. All of them are given to distinguished people. I have to point out Harris Rowe because Harris was chairman of the selection committee that came south in 1980, and we went out to breakfast together, and to test his resolve and stomach, insisted that we have some grits, which he reluctantly participated in. Harris has been a trustee of this college, of a distinguished one, and he really knows, he understood, I thought, trusteeship about as well as any trustee I've known, and this college has outstanding trustees. That borderline of how much do we get involved in running the college and how much do we worry about policy, that's always a thin line for trustees to walk, and I thought the trustees here knew how to walk that line, led by for the time I was here by Harris. I have to point out one trait of Harris. He is a person of few words. As a matter of fact, he's reminded me at least 6 times today and a couple of times earlier that brevity is what we're after here in speeches. Brevity, brevity, brevity. Something like in real estate, location, location, location. He was a little bit like Calvin Coolidge, and he's a great conservator of words. And he believes that if you don't have something that you can say in about 5 minutes, it's probably not worth saying. And he is a master. Harris is an absolute master in sneaking a peek at his watch. Now, we've all found that out from time to time, but I've thought about writing a play sometime where I'm in an office with Harris, and he starts off, after about 5 minutes, he pays rapt attention to you for 5 or 6 minutes, but he figures if you're sliding down that slippery slope of being incomprehensible, he does this little maneuver right here. And he does it about as well as anybody. He can look at his watch. So I always thought if I kept going, he would probably do this after a while. And then maybe after a few more minutes, he might tap on that watch, and he might even take it off and slam it down on the desk or something. I'm going to do that one of these days, write that play. Ed Mitchell, on the other hand, our president, I always had to tell Ed, he's so bright, that please pick one side of the argument and stay on it. When I was president, we had many things to discuss and talk about and plan, and we'd go down this road, and he'd say, this is what we should do. We should do this, and here are the reasons why, and I'd say, okay, that's right, I agree with you, this is what we do. And he'd say, but on the other hand, so I finally just had to say, Ed, I don't care what side you pick, but please pick one. My last day in office, Ed had already been chosen president, and we were visiting a person, and Ed said, this is a sad day for me. I said, because I'm leaving the college? And he said, no, because it's my last day to be insubordinate. The college has prospered under Dean Mitchell's leadership, now President Mitchell. He is a frugal person, there's no doubt about that, as evidenced by the fact that he found out that we were coming to MacMurray for this graduation for a real special person and a real special purpose. That's when he called to ask me to do the commencement address. In going through some of my things, I found this little note, and why I have all the details on it, I don't know, but it's of October the 9th, 1980, and I've even got the time, 4:30 p.m. And I met with the faculty that day. Ed had been acting dean of the faculty, or some such title as that, to announce to them that that the faculty committee for the selection of the dean had agreed with me that he should be made dean of the college. And I just want to pick one line out of that. It said, "He is knowledgeable about MacMurray and dedicated to its survival as a college of excellence." I haven't modified that any. That was written that day. And I think my wisdom in selecting him as dean and the trustees' wisdom in selecting him as president of this college have certainly been justified, and therefore I take complete credit for the whole thing. Ed, congratulations on the work that you're doing here. The speaker this morning, the baccalaureate speaker, and we did not know each other. Her topic was, "Which way is north?" And my topic is, "Meet me in St. Louis." This is another geography lesson. St. Louis, by the way, is directly south of here. Something that people don't understand when you just think about the Midwest. They don't realize how Missouri juts out. The reason I picked that topic, that title, is that when I first came to MacMurray, the recruiting literature from MacMurray said, MacMurray College is located 30 miles west of Springfield. It's located about 100 miles north of St. Louis. Well, I didn't pay much attention to that until one time I went down to St. Louis, and son of a gun, it wasn't 100 miles. It was a lot less than 100 miles. It was about 90 miles or so. So I came back here and got in an argument with Ed and several other people about this, and we ought to show realistically how far MacMurray is from St. Louis. Besides, it's probably good to say you're close to St. Louis. So we fooled around with this and finally decided, well, I had no more to do with it, but the admissions literature said that MacMurray is 90 miles north of St. Louis. Well, son of a gun, I called Chris a couple of weeks ago in the president's office to ask her to send me some information about the college, current info, and she sent me some things, including recruiting literature. And in the recruiting literature, it says MacMurray College is located 75 miles north of St. Louis. Now, folks, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that that's 15 miles in 15 years. We're moving closer and closer to St. Louis at a rate of about 1 mile per year. In the year 2070, we will be in St. Louis. And I submit to you that with the vitality of this institution that I see, and you don't have to be back on the campus long to see it or read about it, this college will be as viable then as now, probably better than now. I have great confidence in the future of our college. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your college and your education. I'm sort of glad I didn't write a speech for the faculty, since they were always out here. I don't know how I would give one to them back there, so I'm glad I didn't really write, but they can listen in if they want to. Here's what you hear about colleges throughout the country. You hear people talking about colleges. Some things you'll hear them say. Colleges are pious, self-congratulatory, and suffused with an aura of superiority. Read a lot of other colleges' literature, and it won't take long to find that out. Listen to their president speak. My best definition of colleges, not this one I hasten to add, and we'll make that clear as we go along. Colleges essentially are academic departments connected by the plumbing. Faculty politics, more than anything else, determines what curriculum they have. In becoming all-purpose institutions, many colleges are becoming no purpose at all. And this is a devastating one. Articulating trivia is their best talent. Some observations people make in studying curriculums and curriculum change and programs and what you call core here in your essential undergraduate program. No amount of genius can overcome a preoccupation with detail. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Think about internet, the World Wide Web, multimedia, and the coming virtual reality. Gertrude Stein, after an arduous trip to Oakland, California, for those that have been to Oakland could probably appreciate this, said, "There is no there. There." Something that could be said about a lot of undergraduate programs in this country today. A hopeful comment. Invariably, it is the good teacher who is an all-adventurous learner. Albert Einstein, the only rational way to educate is by example. A little more negative, the bones of opportunity so often lie bleached on the deserts of hesitation. Machiavelli, who I hear and understand is a friend of yours, there is nothing more difficult to carry out nor more doubtful of success than to initiate a new order of things. And Romans, don't let the world squeeze you into its own mold. And what is it that's being said? What hopeful things are being said? What are people thinking? What are they saying that we should do in undergraduate education, in the general program, in that part of a program that all of you take? One, in no particular order, although this probably is number one, faculty should be examples of liberally educated persons. Now that's a radical idea. There should be common experiences for all students. Primary sources of information should be studied, not somebody's opinion of somebody's opinion of somebody's opinion. We should demonstrate the interrelatedness of fields of knowledge. General or core education should be more than something to get out of the way. How many times have I heard at other places, well, let's hurry and get that out of the way so we can get on with our major in chemistry or English or whatever. And students should be able to, above all they know, be able to analyze, synthesize, and judge critically. Of course, with so much attention on the importance of general education, faculty, staff, and trustees nationwide, I'm happy to report, nationwide, are immersed, actually, in developing good and worthwhile approaches to undergraduate education. Bink. That is not correct. It is really wrong and in the reverse of what really is happening. Generally speaking, faculty politics, paralyzed administrative leaders, and paths of least resistance overwhelmingly prevail everywhere. Everywhere? Well, thank you, no, not here at Mac. And I am proud of that. And as your career goes on beyond these college doors, yours will too. Several times I've been asked to speak at conferences only because of my connection with MacMurray. To speak at conferences on general education, people getting together to talk about general education. And they asked me to talk about what's happening here, what has happened here, how it was done, how it was developed, what is it, how students participate, what faculty do, and so forth. And I must say, on every time I've done that, folks sit in the audience and look dumbfounded. Tell me, really, is there a college somewhere that does that? It's almost like I have to bring a lie detector to produce a lie detector result to show that I'm telling the truth. But it is true. Class of 1995, I recognize you as educated persons. And I must admit that I envy you. You may be computer scientists, chemists, historians, English and drama majors, nurses, social workers, education and special education majors, accountants, business majors, artists, biologists, criminal justice majors, physical education majors, international studies majors, journalists, mathematicians, modern language majors, music majors, philosophy and religion majors, physicists, political science majors, psychologists, social workers, sociologists, sports managers. You may be that. But I submit to you that beyond this, you're educated persons prepared to make contributions to your world far beyond your disciplinary label, as important as that might be. Far beyond that. You have come face to face with the ancient world, studying the Greeks, Hebrews, and Chinese. You have studied Rome and early Christianity, Islam and the Middle Ages, Dante, Lucretius, Virgil. You have encountered the Renaissance, Reformation, and Enlightenment, Shakespeare, Voltaire, More, Machiavelli, your friend, Luther, Calvin, Galileo, Descartes, Locke. You have pondered the modern world. Goethe, or as they say on that street in Chicago, Goethe, Goethe, Faust, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Darwin, Freud, B.F. Skinner, Huxley, Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., my favorite trio, Newton, Einstein, Heisenberg. If you know anything about uncertainty, the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, I submit to you that none of you, or anybody you have influence over, will ever be subject to someone from a cult or something else that says, friend, I want to tell you I've got the absolute knowledge and absolute truth, and all you got to do is believe it. If you know anything about uncertainty, not only do they don't have it, it's not possible to get it. You have appreciated cultures beyond those of your own Western culture. Wow. I congratulate you. And to say again, I envy you. But you didn't do that by yourself. You didn't create it for yourself. It was created here at this college by dedicated faculty and other people, and you participated in it. It's better because you have participated. You have added to it. But I can't help but ask you to do this. With the authority vested in me by absolutely nobody, I wish you would stand up and applaud this group of people right back here called the faculty of this college for the education you have. Godspeed, and I hope now that you, as alumni of this great college, will experience the joy that I do when I come back here to my alma mater and now to yours. Thank you, and go for it.
Because of the dignity of this occasion, please withhold your applause until all candidates have received their degrees. The candidates for all degrees, please stand. Mr. President, these candidates have fulfilled the requirements for their various degrees.
These persons have been recommended by the faculty for having met all of the conditions for graduation from MacMurray College. I now request the Board of Trustees to authorize me to advance them to their degrees.
The Board of Trustees of MacMurray College, in exercise of the authority committed to them by the state of Illinois, authorizes you to confer upon these candidates the degree for which they have qualified.
The trustees have authorized me to confer upon you your respective degrees as recommended by the faculty. Those degrees to be yours with all the rights, honors, and privileges appertaining thereto. As evidence thereof, I do now present to you the diploma of graduation bearing the seal of the college and the signatures of its proper officers.
Students, you may